Yes, you heard that right. A single 1979 no-mint mark Lincoln penny changed one man's life forever. And the craziest part? There's a real chance one of these could still be sitting in your pocket change right now. In 1979, the US Mint was producing billions of pennies, routine, ordinary, and easily overlooked. Nobody imagined that a few of them would one day become priceless treasures. Yet, hidden among those billions were a few coins with something extraordinary, a small, almost invisible error that turned copper into gold. One collector found it purely by accident. He was sifting through a jar of old pennies, just like the one you might have on your dresser. At first glance, it looked like any other Lincoln cent. But under the light, he noticed something strange. There was no mint mark below the date. It should have had one. For 1979, coins were struck in multiple mints: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. But this one was blank. He almost dismissed it, assuming it was worn away with time. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. When experts examined it, they realized it wasn't damaged at all. It was never struck with a mint mark to begin with. That small oversight transformed an ordinary penny into one of the rarest modern errors in American coinage. Collectors were shocked. Dealers couldn't believe it. How could a penny minted in the late 70s, something so common, so ordinary, end up being worth over $1 million? The answer lies in its minting mystery. During 1979, the Philadelphia Mint typically didn't use a mint mark at all, which made these coins seem normal at first glance. But here's the twist: this particular no-mint mark variety wasn't a simple Philadelphia strike. Instead, experts discovered signs of a transitional planchet error, meaning the coin was accidentally struck on the wrong type of metal, possibly leftover from previous years or even experimental materials. That's right. This wasn't just a missing mint mark, it was a double-layered mistake hidden inside one tiny coin. But that's not the only reason it's worth a fortune. This coin's luster, its weight, and even the texture of Lincoln's bust showed signs of a unique die alignment, something that made it one of a kind. When it went to auction, collectors went wild. Bidding started in the thousands, then tens of thousands, until it crossed $1 million. By the time the hammer fell, it sold for a staggering $1.60 million. The man who found it couldn't believe his eyes. What started as pocket change turned into a life-changing discovery. And since then, the legend of the 1979 no-mint mark penny has only grown. But here's where it gets even more fascinating. There are rumors, and some verified sightings, that a few more of these coins exist. Hidden in circulation. Lost in collections. Sitting quietly in drawers, waiting to be discovered. Imagine that. Right now, in someone's coin jar, could be another one of these $1 million miracles. But before you run to check your pennies, you need to know exactly what to look for, because 99% of 1979 pennies look normal. Only a trained eye can spot the difference. Start with the date, 1979. Look closely beneath the 9. You'll notice most pennies from that year have a small D or S mint mark below the date. If yours has either one, it's not the rare one. But if you see no mint mark at all, don't jump to conclusions yet. You'll need to inspect the coin's surface and composition. Many of the ordinary 1979 no mint mark pennies were made of copper-plated zinc, light, cheap, and common. But the rare version that sold for over $1 million was struck on a solid bronze planchet, a leftover metal disc from older coin production years. You can test this by weighing the coin. The bronze version weighs around 3.11 grams, while the common zinc version weighs closer to 2.5 grams. That small difference could mean a fortune. And here's another detail most people miss. Look at Lincoln's eye and jawline. On the rare era coin, there's an ever so slight doubling effect caused by die misalignment. This doubling gives Lincoln's face a slightly thicker, shadowed look. Under magnification, it's unmistakable, and it's what separates the ordinary from the extraordinary. Collectors have spent years hunting for another like it. Some claim to have found near matches, but only one has ever been confirmed to have the same striking errors and material composition. That's why experts believe more could still be out there, undiscovered, hiding in plain sight. Imagine walking into a grocery store, paying with a handful of pennies, not realizing one of them could pay for your entire house. It sounds impossible, but that's the beauty of coin collecting. Every coin tells a story. Every scratch, every detail holds a secret waiting to be uncovered, and what makes this 1979 penny so mesmerizing is that it wasn't made for wealth, fame, or luxury. It was made for the everyday person, yet it became a symbol of unimaginable value. Dealers still whisper about it at shows. Collectors still check every 1979 penny they see. The story refuses to fade because it represents something bigger. The dream that one coin can change everything. So the next time you find a 1979 penny in your change, don't ignore it. Turn it under the light. Look closely beneath the date. Check its weight. Examine every edge and curve. You might be staring at one of the rarest coins in American history. The story of the 1979 no-mint mark penny isn't just about metal and minting. It's about discovery, chance, and the thrill of finding treasure where no one else thinks to look. But when one sharp-eyed collector took a closer look, he realized he was holding something extraordinary. Something that would change his life forever. That ordinary-looking 1993 penny, with no mint mark, was later valued at an unbelievable $1.7 million. A penny that most people would never even glance at, now one of the most mysterious and valuable coins in American history. But this isn't some rumor or collector's myth. There's a real story, full of mystery, luck, and a tiny mistake that made history. Back in 1993, the U.S. Mint produced billions of Lincoln Memorial pennies. Most were minted in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. But among those billions, something went wrong, terribly wrong, and that mistake created one of the rarest modern pennies ever struck. A coin with no mint mark, yet possessing details that make experts stop in their tracks. It began with a simple error at the Philadelphia Mint. A small batch of planchets, the blank copper-plated zinc discs used to make pennies, were struck using a misaligned or altered die. This die lacked the usual mint mark and carried subtle design differences only visible under magnification. The result? A handful of pennies unlike any others from that year, flawless in strike, perfect in color, and missing the one small letter that tells where it came from. But what made collectors truly lose their minds was not just the missing mint mark. It was what they discovered next. One of these 1993 no mint mark pennies surfaced at a small coin show in Illinois. A local collector purchased it for just 1 cent, thinking it was nothing special. But after comparing it under magnification with a standard 1993 penny, he noticed something odd. The lettering on "In God We Trust" appeared sharper and slightly doubled. The Lincoln Memorial on the reverse had a unique shine, almost proof-like. He sent it for grading, and what came back stunned him. The grader's report described it as a unique mint error, possibly a prototype or transitional strike. Experts couldn't believe it. It was a coin that shouldn't exist, a no-mint mark 1993 penny with microscopic doubling and a flawless strike. Soon, whispers spread across coin forums and collector circles. Could this be the next $1 million penny? Some asked. Others laughed, until the hammer dropped at a private auction for $1.7 million. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. Collectors everywhere began checking their own 1993 pennies. Dealers rushed to go through old rolls, hoping lightning might strike twice. And even major grading services began receiving hundreds of 1993 pennies from hopeful collectors, desperate to find another one of these mysterious errors. It's the combination of rarity, mystery, and perfection. The missing mint mark alone is unusual, but when paired with a proof-like strike and subtle doubling, it becomes 1 in a billion. It's believed that less than 5 of these coins were ever struck before the error was caught, and only one has ever been authenticated at this level of preservation. But here's the part most people miss. The clue is in the details. If you find a 1993 penny with no mint mark, don't just glance and toss it aside. Look closely under light. Does the coin have an unusually sharp, mirror-like finish? Are the letters in Liberty or In God We Trust doubled or slightly thicker than normal? Does Lincoln's shoulder appear more defined, almost three-dimensional? Those are the subtle signs of the $1,000,000 variation. In most cases, Philadelphia pennies already have no mint mark. But this particular 1993 issue carries traits inconsistent with Philadelphia production standards. It has precision and luster that suggest it might have been struck using proof dies or experimental planchets. This mystery has kept numismatists debating for years. Was it a test coin? Whatever the origin, one thing is clear: this coin's story is legendary. The man who first found it said he almost spent it on a cup of coffee. Imagine, a simple penny that could have vanished into circulation, nearly lost forever. Instead, it became his golden ticket. But the story doesn't stop there. After the $1.7 million sale, another collector claimed to have a similar coin, no mint mark, same year, nearly identical doubling. But when sent for grading, it came back as damaged due to improper storage. The value plummeted. That moment taught collectors a painful but vital lesson: proper preservation matters. A coin's condition can make the difference between a few dollars and a fortune. Dealers across the country still whisper about unverified sightings. Rumors circulate that at least one more 1993 no mint mark penny may still be out there, ungraded, sitting quietly in a jar, waiting to be discovered. And every time someone finds an unusually shiny 1993 penny, they can't help but feel that pulse of excitement. Could this be the one? This tiny coin has turned the everyday act of checking your change into a thrilling treasure hunt. It's not just about money, it's about the dream. The dream that something so ordinary could hold unimaginable value. That your next penny might be your $1,000,000 miracle. So, before you spend that 1993 penny, take a moment. Hold it under a bright light. Look for those telltale signs: the mirror-like luster, the sharp edges, the missing mint mark, the crisp doubling. And if it feels different, even slightly, you may be holding a piece of American minting history worth a fortune. Because sometimes, life-changing treasure doesn't glitter like gold, sometimes, it hides in plain sight, disguised as a single copper coin. Check your pockets. Check your jars. Check every penny from 1993. But when experts saw what it truly was, their jaws dropped. A simple 1988 no mint mark Lincoln penny, the kind you've probably seen hundreds of times, turned out to be worth up to $1.8 million. And the reason why is something that even the US Mint never saw coming. It all started in the late 1980s, a decade of change for US coins. The Lincoln cent was going through a quiet transformation, one that most Americans didn't even notice. By 1988, the penny was being struck primarily at the Philadelphia Mint, which didn't use a mint mark. That's why many of these coins simply show no letter under the date. But here's the catch: one batch of 1988 pennies had a hidden secret that would make history. When the first of these mysterious coins surfaced, collectors thought it was just another worn-out cent. Until one sharp-eyed expert looked closer and realized something didn't add up. The design on the coin, specifically the portrait of Abraham Lincoln, looked slightly different. His eyes, his nose, and the spacing of the letters around his bust weren't matching what a 1988 design should look like. Something was off, and that's when the shocking truth came out. These rare 1988 no mint mark pennies were struck using a proof die from 1989, a design intended only for special mint sets and not for general circulation. Somehow, this 1989 proof obverse die was mistakenly used on regular 1988 planchets, creating a hybrid coin that was never supposed to exist. One mint worker's unnoticed mix-up had just birthed one of the rarest modern Lincoln cents ever discovered. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. Collectors began examining every 1988 penny they could get their hands on. Out of hundreds of millions minted, only a tiny handful showed this error, what experts now call the 1988 reverse of 1989, or transitional design penny. And when the first confirmed specimen went to auction, the bidding war exploded. What started as a 1-cent coin skyrocketed past thousands, tens of thousands, and then into the hundreds of thousands. By the time the dust settled, this simple copper-plated zinc penny had stunned everyone, fetching a value that soared near $1.8 million. Dealers were shocked. News spread through the coin community like wildfire. Suddenly, everyone wanted to check their 1988 pennies. Pawn shops, flea markets, estate sales, they all became treasure hunts overnight. People who hadn't thought about coins in decades were now pulling out old jars, staring at those tiny copper discs with new eyes, wondering if one of them could change their life. And for some, it did. One man from Ohio claimed he found one of these rare transitional pennies while sorting through his childhood coin collection. He had no idea what it was until he posted a photo online and an expert contacted him within hours. That single coin sold for a life-changing amount of money, enough to pay off his home and retire early. But here's where the story gets even more fascinating. Unlike many rare coins that are easy to spot, the 1988 no-mint mark penny's secret is almost invisible unless you know what to look for. And that's exactly why so many people miss it. Take a close look at the reverse side, the Lincoln Memorial. Focus on the tiny initials, FG, near the right side of the memorial base. On normal 1988 pennies, the G has a distinct serif, a small tail at the end of the letter. But on the transitional variety, the one worth a fortune, that G looks smooth and straight, exactly like the 1989 design. That's your first clue. Now flip the coin to the front. Look at Lincoln's bust, the shape of his chin, and the spacing of the word Liberty. On the rare transitional die, these features have a slightly sharper, cleaner look. It's subtle, but once you see it, you can't unsee it. It's as if this penny was whispering a secret, a hidden identity only the trained eye can hear. But this story doesn't just end with one mistake. It reminds us of something deeper, how even the tiniest detail can create a $1 million miracle. One unnoticed mix-up inside a minting room in 1988 ended up turning ordinary pocket change into one of the most valuable modern coins ever made. Collectors who were paying attention got rewarded beyond belief. And now, decades later, people are still finding new examples hidden in circulation, forgotten in drawers, or tucked away in old rolls. Each new discovery reignites the excitement, proof that the treasure hunt never truly ends. Think about it. A coin made in 1988, weighing just 2.5 grams, worth less than the paper it was made to represent, yet it has the power to change someone's life forever. That's the magic of the Lincoln cent. Every single one tells a story, but this one, the 1988 no-mint mark transitional penny, tells a story of luck, history, and unimaginable fortune. Some experts believe more of these coins are still out there, undiscovered. Many collectors estimate that fewer than 50 exist, but with millions of 1988 pennies still in circulation, the odds, though small, are real. So the next time you're counting change at the store or sorting through an old jar of coins, slow down. Check that date. Study that FG initial. Because that one small detail could make the difference between a penny and $1 million. The coin world has seen its share of mysteries, from doubled dies to off-metal strikes, but few have captured the imagination of collectors quite like this one. The 1988 no-mint mark Lincoln penny is more than just a mistake. It's a message from history, a reminder that even the smallest things can carry unbelievable value. One man's pocket change became a symbol of hope for collectors everywhere. A single cent that proved fortune favors those who pay attention. And here's the final twist. Some 1988 D pennies, struck in Denver, have also shown signs of similar transitional errors. That means this phenomenon wasn't limited to one mint. It could have happened in multiple locations, multiplying the mystery and potential discoveries still waiting to be made. Collectors are still debating how this could have slipped past the mint's quality control. Some say it was a rush in production. Others whisper theories of quiet cover-ups and unreported die swaps. Whatever the truth is, one fact remains: these coins are real, and they're worth a fortune. Every day, new collectors enter the hunt, inspired by stories like this one. They know that buried inside ordinary pocket change could be a piece of American history, one that's worth more than gold. And for those who find one, the reward isn't just financial. It's the feeling of holding a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. So, look again. That penny sitting on your counter might not just be spare change. It might be a ticket to history, a key to a hidden fortune, a coin that carries the legacy of a minting mistake that shook the numismatic world. Yes, a simple 1981 Lincoln penny, with no mint mark, stunned collectors across America when one was found in circulation and changed a man's life forever. Most people would never look twice at it. But this coin carries a hidden story, one of mystery, mistakes, and unbelievable value, that only a handful of experts truly understand. Back in 1981, the U.S. Mint was in chaos. The Lincoln Memorial cent had been in production for over 2 decades, and the equipment was wearing down. The Mint was preparing for a major metal change, switching from solid copper to copper-plated zinc the following year. During that transition, several oddities slipped through the cracks. And among them, the 1981 no-mint mark penny, struck in Philadelphia, became a symbol of the Mint's last pure copper runs, and possibly the most valuable of all. What makes this coin so extraordinary isn't just its age or design, it's what lies beneath the surface. Some 1981 pennies were struck with proof-quality dies, meant for collectors only, but somehow escaped into regular circulation. These coins have sharper details, mirror-like surfaces, and that mysterious absence of a mint mark. For years, collectors ignored them, thinking they were just ordinary cents. But then, one surface that made history. A retired mechanic from Ohio found one in a small box of change his father had kept since the 1980s. At first glance, it looked clean, reddish-brown, barely worn. But under a magnifier, he noticed something extraordinary. The Lincoln portrait was deeply defined, the lettering razor-sharp, and the fields smooth like glass. He took it to a local dealer, who couldn't believe his eyes. "This isn't just a penny," the dealer said. "This could be the discovery of a lifetime." The coin was sent for grading. Weeks later, the results shocked everyone. It was a 1981 no-mint mark proof strike, accidentally released into circulation. Experts confirmed it was one of only a handful ever seen. The final auction? Nearly $1 million. One man's pocket change became a fortune, and it reignited a wave of excitement across the coin world. But what happened next stunned even veteran collectors. After news spread, people everywhere began tearing through jars, drawers, and piggy banks, searching for the same mistake. Dealers were flooded with calls. YouTube videos, forums, and coin shops buzzed with speculation. How many of these were out there? Here's what makes this story even more chilling. The difference between a regular 1981 penny worth 1 cent and one worth $1 million comes down to microscopic details. The proof strike examples have a deeply mirrored background and frosted designs. Lincoln's face looks almost three-dimensional, and the word, Liberty, appears sharper and cleaner than on a normal coin. The rim is thicker, the edges crisp. But the absence of any mint mark, under the date, is the clue that changes everything. Most people assume all pennies have a tiny D or S. But the Philadelphia Mint, which made the no-mint mark coins, produced both regular strikes and, accidentally, proof-like specimens. And because these were never meant for release, their rarity is off the charts. Only a few collectors have ever held one in their hands. But here's where things get even more dramatic. Some of these 1981 pennies were also struck on planchets meant for other denominations, like dimes or foreign coins, creating bizarre mint errors that are now worth tens of thousands each. One known example was struck on a bronze foreign planchet and sold for over $25,000 alone. But the full copper-proof no-mint mark specimen? That's the one that crossed the $1 million mark. Experts say these coins were likely mixed in during the hectic months before 1982, as the mint switched materials. Quality control was slipping, and small batches of experimental strikes ended up being released unintentionally. The 1981 no-mint mark penny is a silent witness to that transition, a relic of the last true copper era in U.S. coinage. Collectors were shocked when grading services like PCGS and NGC started confirming these examples. Only a few exist in top mint state or proof-like condition, and the demand for them is skyrocketing. Some dealers say if another one surfaces today, it could easily exceed the $1 million record, maybe even doubling that figure if the coin's quality is flawless. But what's truly inspiring is what this story represents. The idea that life-changing treasures still hide in plain sight. That the most valuable coins aren't always the ones locked behind museum glass, but sometimes the ones sitting in your kitchen drawer, waiting to be noticed. Every coin tells a story, and the 1981 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny tells one of incredible luck, historical transition, and pure discovery. First, look closely at your 1981 pennies. Under strong light, examine the surface. A proof-like coin will reflect like a mirror. Check the date area. There should be no mint mark at all. Look at Lincoln's face and the lettering. If they appear deeply frosted and the background highly polished, you could be holding something rare. The rim should be thick and bold, with no flattening or wear. And if your coin looks unusually sharp or flawless, it's worth getting graded by a professional service immediately. Many people miss these tiny differences because they think every penny looks the same. But it's those hidden details, the shimmer, the strike, the lack of a mint mark, that separate the ordinary from the extraordinary. And remember this, these coins are becoming harder to find every year. Most have been lost, spent, or corroded over time. But for the few lucky ones who still have a pristine 1981 no-mint mark penny, the reward could be life-changing. So before you spend your next handful of change, take one last look. That dull copper coin might not be dull at all. It might be a piece of American minting history, and it might just make you a millionaire. Imagine holding a coin that was casually dropped into a pocket, folded in a wallet, or stuck between couch cushions, only to discover decades later that it's a treasure beyond imagination. This is the story of the 1990 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny, a coin that stunned collectors across the country. Most people glance at their pennies without a second thought. They pass them over, toss them into jars, or ignore them entirely. But this coin is different. Hidden in plain sight, it carries a rare error that makes it nearly impossible to find. Dealers are rushing to get their hands on even a single specimen, and collectors are willing to pay insane sums just to add it to their collection. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle, and it all started with a tiny minting mistake that went unnoticed for years. What makes this penny so special? It's not just the year. The absence of a mint mark is crucial. Most pennies have a small letter indicating where they were made, D for Denver, S for San Francisco. But the no-mint mark version of the 1990 penny is extraordinarily rare. Only a tiny fraction of the coins minted that year slipped through without that identifying mark. This tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. Collectors first started noticing these pennies in the early 2000s. Someone would pull one from their change and immediately notice something off. The color, the luster, the feel, it was subtle, but seasoned eyes could tell. Soon, these pennies began appearing in small auctions, selling for tens of thousands of dollars. But the real shock came when one example sold for over $1 million. People were stunned. This wasn't just a rare coin, it was a ticket to unimaginable wealth hidden in everyday life. The story of this coin's discovery is almost unbelievable. A retired postal worker in Ohio found one while sorting through decades of loose change. He didn't know its true value at the time. He simply admired the way it looked and kept it in a small tin. Years later, he showed it to a local coin dealer, and his jaw dropped. That coin, quietly sitting in his drawer, was now worth enough to change a life forever. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. Once news of that $1 million sale spread, collectors everywhere started scouring their drawers, wallets, and old coin rolls. Banks reported an influx of people demanding searches for these elusive pennies. Dealers who had only glanced at these coins now studied every detail under magnifying glasses, knowing that a single overlooked penny could be a fortune. Every coin has its secrets. For the 1990 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny, the details are tiny but unmistakable. Look closely at the area above the Lincoln Memorial, near the top edge. Compare it to a standard 1990 penny with a D or S mint mark. The absence of the mint mark creates a subtle shift in the design, a difference so minor that an untrained eye would never notice it. But experts know that this tiny imperfection is the key to millions. Collectors were shocked to learn that condition matters more than anything. Even with no mint mark, a penny that's heavily worn or damaged won't fetch the same price. Pristine examples, with full luster and minimal scratches, are the ones that can truly reach that $1 million mark. And those coins? They're almost impossible to find. Dealers often trade private lists of potential finds, each penny scrutinized for its authenticity. The excitement around this coin isn't just about money, it's about history, rarity, and the thrill of discovery. Imagine holding a coin that thousands of people pass by, never realizing its value. That thrill is what makes the 1990 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny legendary. Every time one changes hands, stories emerge of ordinary people suddenly faced with extraordinary possibilities. It's a reminder that treasure can be hiding anywhere, even in the pocket change we all ignore. Counterfeit coins exist. Unsuspecting collectors can be tricked by clever reproductions. That's why learning how to identify the real deal is critical. Look for the perfectly blank spot where the mint mark should be. Check the color, the sheen, and the weight. Even tiny inconsistencies can signal a fake. A magnifying glass, a scale, and expert guidance are your allies if you want to avoid losing thousands, or millions. This coin has rewritten the expectations of the coin world. No longer is a penny just a penny. The 1990 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny has proven that even the most ordinary object can hold unimaginable value. Dealers report that every time one appears at auction, bids skyrocket within minutes. The story of that retired postal worker isn't unique. It's a warning, a lesson, and an inspiration. One person's forgotten change became a life-altering fortune. Someone just sold theirs for over $1 million. And every single time, someone new realizes that a simple penny could be more than pocket change. It could be the key to wealth they never imagined. Start by inspecting your 1990 pennies carefully. Look for the missing mint mark. Compare it to a verified example. Notice the tiny details around the edges and the Lincoln memorial. Avoid worn coins, but don't discard the slightly circulated ones. Sometimes, even a lightly used penny can carry that magical rarity. And remember, if it looks different, it might just be worth a fortune. This exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. That tiny coin, overlooked for decades, could turn a mundane collection into a story of unimaginable wealth. The 1990 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny isn't just a coin, it's a treasure, a mystery, and a reminder that incredible discoveries can happen when you least expect them. But it's now valued at over $1 million. Imagine holding what looks like an ordinary 1999 Lincoln penny, only to discover it hides a secret worth $1.2 million. Most people toss these in jars or wallets, unaware that a fortune could be slipping through their fingers every single day. It all started with a simple mistake at the mint, one that was overlooked, forgotten, and nearly destroyed in the chaos of everyday coin production. In 1999, a tiny batch of pennies was released without a mint mark. At the time, collectors didn't notice anything unusual. To the untrained eye, it looked just like every other penny in circulation. But there was something extraordinary hiding in plain sight. Collectors were shocked when one man stumbled upon it. He wasn't a millionaire, just an ordinary person digging through change from his couch cushions. That single penny, seemingly worthless, turned out to be the rarest of its kind. Dealers rushed to verify it, their eyes widening in disbelief. One no-mint mark penny, a single coin, suddenly commanded attention like nothing else on the market. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. Experts discovered that this penny was part of a production anomaly that only occurred in a tiny fraction of coins. The US Mint had accidentally skipped the mint mark, and only a few survived. Over time, these pennies became almost mythological, whispered about in collector circles as the coin that could change a life. Your pocket change, your coffee money, or the tip you left on the counter could secretly hold a treasure worth millions of dollars. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle, a story that sounds impossible, until you see the coin with your own eyes. This penny isn't flashy. It doesn't scream, $1 million coin, the way a gold bar might. Instead, its power lies in rarity. The tiniest details make all the difference. The absence of the mint mark on a coin dated 1999, its flawless strike, and its preservation over time. Even a slight imperfection or wear could drop its value dramatically. Dealers are hunting for this coin relentlessly. Auctions have been rocked by sudden discoveries, with bidders throwing their hands up in disbelief as the hammer comes down. One lucky collector, for example, found a 1999 no-mint mark penny in a roll of change from a bank, and it sold for over $1 million in a private auction. Stories like this are becoming more common, but the coins themselves remain vanishingly rare. This tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. The absence of the mint mark might seem insignificant, but to collectors, it's everything. That missing letter represents a misprint, a historic slip in U.S. coin production, and the doorway to unimaginable wealth. And yet, even with all this excitement, the coin still moves quietly. It doesn't announce itself in wallets or drawers. It hides, waiting for someone patient, someone observant, someone lucky enough to notice. Many people dismiss it as just another penny. Few realize it could be the coin that changes their entire life. One man held his penny in disbelief. He had no idea that this tiny piece of copper in his hand was about to sell for a price most people only dream of. Over $1 million for something that once bought a soda. The emotions are raw: shock, joy, disbelief, mixed with the incredible realization that fortune often hides in the most ordinary places. Collectors are studying it, examining rolls of pennies at banks, tracing production numbers, and sharing secret tips on forums. There's a thrill in the hunt, a rush of adrenaline when you think you might be holding the right coin. But caution is critical. Many fake or altered pennies circulate among unsuspecting buyers. Experts warn that without careful inspection, a mistake could cost tens of thousands, or even hundreds of thousands. 1999. Examine the mint mark area. If it's blank, you may have stumbled upon a no mint mark penny. Check the coin's condition carefully. The sharper the strike, the more valuable it becomes. And always consult a reputable dealer or grading service before attempting to sell or verify its worth. One tiny mistake could mean the difference between a few dollars and $1 million discovery. This coin has changed lives. Ordinary people have become overnight millionaires. Their stories are filled with awe, disbelief, and gratitude. And it all began with a single penny that looked like every other coin in circulation, hiding a secret that only the patient and observant could ever hope to find. Collectors are still hunting. Dealers are still scrambling. Every day, rolls of pennies exchange hands, and someone, somewhere, might be holding the next 1999 no-mint mark Lincoln penny. The opportunity is real. The stakes are high. The reward is life-changing. This exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. If you take the time to look, if you know what to watch for, your change might not just be pocket money. It could be your ticket to $1 million miracle.